When I really like the best is get the young adults. I want to stop the crap that's going on in their life. I did do a youth thing out on the boardwalk, and it was so darn cool. And I got to get across that line and say, when they come here, boy, did I have a good time. I just want to hear one of them say that again.
Be Inspired podcast. Real stories from real people. Sharing stories of love and loss, struggles and perseverance, laughter and tears, and overcoming adversity.
The willingness to help others in life is a timeless endeavor, and in today's edition of Be Inspired, we're going to meet the founder of the New Beginnings Foundation, because we are, after all, today in the second house that Ruth built. Hi, I'm Bert Barron.
And I'm Lisa Anderson.
And we welcome you to a very special Be Inspired. I am so excited, Lisa, about today's guest because we're in her house. This is her office today, right?
It is, and we sprung this upon Ruth Egner. You are just a force to be reckoned with. You are a little firecracker. And Ruth just said, I said, what will we talk about? She said, the first thing that comes out of my mouth. I said, that works. How are you, Ruth?
I'm good.
I am so thrilled that we met several years ago.
Oh, me too.
And this beautiful home that we're in is all because of you and because of Victor, who was the builder, who you found. So I guess, Bert, Ruth always says, well, I'm 92 years old and I'm just getting started.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's the spirit. I like that.
It is. So she's just, like I said, such an inspiring person. The minute you meet her, you just feel like you know her for years. So Ruth, why don't you take us back to the beginning? You had it a little tough growing up, and you had an amazing father.
No, not really. If you don't know it's tough, you just have a good time.
That's true.
I think, when they talk about me, who am I? Why did I turn out the way I did? I was born August 27th, 1927. That was the Great Depression days.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know any better, you had a really good time. All I know, when God created me, I was like a boy. I could do things just as good as any boy anywhere. And everybody said to me all the time, you should have been a boy. And in today's world, I would end up a boy because that's the way it is. But anyway, I had a great discovery. I think I was 14, and it was 1941, and it was Pearl Harbor. And I was in Patterson, and a lot of the boys, some of them were 15, they tell me, they lied. They joined so they could serve our country. And they were right by my church, which was 2 blocks away.
What an inspiring time it had to be, though, of course, with young people lining up and lying about their age to serve our country in what at the time was maybe the greatest conflict of all. Inspiring times, of course.
But I think, as I realized that my dad said they would all die, all these young guys would die. They weren't trained. We have to tell them how much we love them. We have to make their last time on earth the best we can. And hopefully we'll see them in heaven someday.
Your dad was a huge influence in your
life.
life.
My father his life was so tough, and he made it. I mean, he would be here for you people if he could tell his life, because he was literally thrown out when he was 7. And that was in the 1800s. And he was on his own, along with a bunch of other kids that were homeless. And he lived on a farm, and he learned a lot. And he was a really good doctor, because his farm had animals on it, and he became the vet. So you can also do the same thing with humans. So we had a good time pretending we were doctors. But I think that going back to that one night particularly when I realized how quickly life could be wiped out. And the fact that my brother and everybody I know were going off to war. Some of them didn't come back. And I don't think we ever helped anybody then as much as we helped that group of young men when we said, our house is yours. The church is going to be open 24/7. There will be food. There will be everything. And then everybody, give them your gloves, the boys' gloves, give them mittens, give them socks, give them scarves, give them hats, because they will not have that when they get over to France.
When you and I speak about tough times and kids, today preserving history for them, they really don't have any clue about how tough it was back then. I mean, like Ruth said, 15 years old and you're signing up to go to war for which you're not even trained for.
Sure.
And, today kids' biggest problem is, can I get on the internet? We have no internet. But did that shape your life, Ruth, for things to come with what you did? Because your life really has been all about service.
Well, yeah, I think that one of the blessings I had in my life when I was starting to look at boys, my grandmother said to me, this is important for you, Ruth. Looks is what's going to attract you. So, that's what happens. You say, you look good, boy. And then you meet him and you say, is he as good inside as he is on the outside? And if he is, don't let him go.
And you were lucky enough to meet your husband.
So,
who was like that.
the war ended and this gorgeous Marine walks on the beach. And I decided, that looks like a good one to me. And he looks at me and he thinks I'm a good one too. So anyway, we met and he was good on the inside. And he said to me, you know what, Ruth? The best part about you is I like the way you are on the inside. I said, Grandma, I'll love you.
See?
So I married him. And he was a Marine, and I want to tell you something. He was something else. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
That's what they say. When you're in, you're always in. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just the reason you got this place is Andy was a banker. He started to, really care about people. He was a Main Street banker. The mafia took care of him. The black people loved him. I didn't have to worry about anything. They knew what he was doing all the time. They said, don't worry about your husband. We watch him.
Because he treated everybody so fairly.
He was so fair. I can't tell you how many people he gave a better life to. And they were mostly minority people. He gave them businesses. And when he gave them a house, he says, the only reason you got it is because of your character. You have to go to school now and learn how to keep this house. And there's a thing called equity. If you do it right, I'll give you more money. And you fix your house. And I tell you, a lot of them were smart and became millionaires because they bought these $9,000 houses, put a little gingerbread on them, fixed up a couple of things, and sold them for $100,000.
Sure.
That's a great story.
I think it's a great story.
It sure is. Now, Ruth, when you were first married, you said things were tough. You were quite poor.
Yeah, my husband finally said to me, we can't make it. We don't have enough money. And I said, give me the money.
Show me the money.
So he says, here's the money. What are you going to do with it? I said, looks like you're not going to buy a cup of coffee this week or any week. But I said, we will manage. And that was that training I had. As he was richer than I was. He lived in a house. I never lived. I slept with my grandmother, the type of thing, and everybody else that was in the house.
The spirit of giving, Ruth, who was more influential? Was it your father? Was it your husband? Was it always something inside of you just to be able to give and help other people out?
I think it was just living with people. With my father was so generous. He said, whatever we have today, we share. because God will have to give us tomorrow what we need. And we always did eat, so I guess that's what happened.
Yeah, you always managed. As the years went by, Ruth, you were very instrumental in, you remember St. Barnabas Hospital in
Sure.
Livingston?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ruth was a big part of that. How did that
Yeah,
happen?
I was the top fundraiser. But they gave me the best spot in Livingston, all the businesses. So that's why I did so well. But I went there the day we opened it up with a shovel, with gloves and a hat, and all dressed up to dig
Sure.
a hole to put St. Barnabas in. So when they built it, I felt I had to take care of it. So, I became a volunteer, and I was really into fixing my hospital.
Yeah.
So I started a program, and it was called Patient Representative. And they told me I could do anything I want.
Quite the job.
And you look at the health system and how many countless numbers of people
They
it's
said,
helped over the decades.
What
Sure.
do you need to
right.
do to fix this hospital? I said, you got to tell the people the truth, for one thing, but you got to help the families. Because that poor person's lying in bed that's sick wants to know what's going on with their family.
Yeah.
And I said, that's what I'm going to bring in. I said, I'm going to have people come in. If it's a party and there's an old person dying, we have a birthday party. And we go out right. But I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for the family I had. My kids are great. They do what I do. They both, Carol and Billy, really, people say, what does it take to raise your children like yours? I said, shut your mouth up and just do something good.
That's it. If you just live by that simple rule, what a great place the world would be, right? And just that spirit of giving that just continues through the generations is just remarkable. It really is. We'll come back. We'll spend some more time with Ruth Egner, who's the founder of the New Beginnings Foundation, and we'll rejoin her coming up next on Be Inspired.
Moving is difficult. At Lowe's, it doesn't have to be. For all of your residential and commercial moving needs, contact 732-775-4118 or get a free FaceTime estimate. Lowe's, proudly serving New Jersey for over 96 years. IgA Nephropathy Foundation of America is a patient-centric organization dedicated to finding a cure and better treatment options for IgA kidney disease. If you or someone you know was recently diagnosed or to donate, please visit IGAN.org. In this new day and age of online meetings and presentations, you need the best team at the ready. Whether broadcasting your Zoom meetings to Facebook Live or live streaming a fundraiser event, SIRREEL Streaming Services, with over 10 years of experience, can add confidence to your next live stream event. Call or text 646-498-8888 or visit sir-reel.com. Feeling stuck with your health goals? Michelle Weber Integrated Fitness and Lifestyle Design specializes in integrating simple daily routines to get you moving towards strengthening your core and boosting immunity and resiliency. With over 15 years experience, let Michelle's team help you reach your fitness and lifestyle goals by visiting michelleweber.com or on Facebook at Michelle Weber Lifestyle.
Welcome back to Be Inspired. Our guest is Ruth Egner, who is the founder of New Beginnings Foundation, and it's great to be spending some time with Ruth here today, just passing along generations of caring and generosity and helping out people in need of all ages and all backgrounds. Ruth, talk about what it's like to serve the young people of today. You've been helping out young people for a long time, but the mission and the work that you're doing right here today, talk a little bit about that.
That's the biggest problem I've ever had in my life.
Why is that?
Is what has happened since I started to work with young people when I was 11. That's because I played piano by ear. That got me into it. But I've always, when I really liked the best is get the young adults. I want to stop the crap that's going on in their life. Their parents really don't get it. I'm also an early childhood educator. And, when they started to put kids in all day, places where they didn't want to mind their own kids. I saw what happened. And I might be wrong, but I think I'm right because it was me, you know. I never had trouble with 40 kids. I could mind them. But they had to listen to me. They went by the rules, the regulations. Mom and Dad were gone all day, and God forbid that they would do anything to tell their kid, you can't do that. You know, I don't want you not to like me. And I've noticed even when I bring kids out on the farm and they climb trees, I said, they can't do that. Well, I don't say anything to my kids. You know, it's crazy. So I did do a youth thing out on the boardwalk. And it was so darn cool, Leanna. It was great. I just went on the boardwalk and gathered the kids in and just said, hey, what are you by yourself for? And he says, because I don't have anybody to be with. I don't like what's going on in Asbury, but I need to make the money. I said, come on with me.
Wow.
And it was a place where it was just a big room. We had free ice cream. I would definitely win the contest for making people deaf. I can't help it. Every musician I got was so loud, and I'm deaf. Maybe that's part of it, you know, but it didn't help. I know that. I would honestly say, why do you have to do this so loud?
I don't think they mind it, though, the kids. What do you...
But they're deaf. I can tell they're deaf already, you know, and they're only 14.
Yeah, well, the 70s,
And they're
our
looking at my
concerts.
lips, which is definitely a sign.
Ruth, what would you say today's youth, what would you say the biggest hurdle they're facing today with the addiction
They
problem?
are bored out of their mind. They are, look at me here. Look what I got, basketball. I got trees to climb. I want to get music up in the trees. I'm trying to do everything. And I don't know what it is. I don't know how to break the ice. I'm glad I have Michael, my son-in-law, here today. He's a really good musician. And he had a coffee house, and it was loaded. And I went, let's get a coffee house here. Whatever it takes to get them in here. And I said, just be careful. You know, what you do. If they're bored, stop it. So anyway, you are here because you're teaching me, I hope, to get maybe an idea of how and I got to hurry up because I'm 93. And I got to get across that line and say, when they come here, boy, did I have a good time. I just want to hear one of them say that again. You know, we brought in the best at that coffee house. I mean, I don't know, there was a guy named Jack Ward. He was from the Carolinas, and I heard he was good, and somebody said, I'll pay for it. And so we call him up. He'll come as long as we give him the fare and pay him. So he's the freakiest looking thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm in Newark Airport, you know, Jack Ward. All of a sudden I said, oh, my God. You know?
But he was good.
He was so good. Where are they? I would bring him here.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. But with this house, Ruth, all of a sudden, you decide at the age of, I believe, in your late 80s, to build this house. When your husband passed, Andy, he left Ruth a nice amount of money to do, you know, for her retirement, but that's the last thing she did. So how did that come to be, your house?
Well, you know, Andy was dying, which was, I knew it. I mean, he was still functionable, but he couldn't take dialysis, so it was a matter of a very short time. He gets an office. This is why he's dying. He's got in an office so he can fix the world. So it was really amazing. I mean, it made me look, this is the way to go, you know, trying to fix the world.
Till the very end.
It was so, and then at the end, Elise said to me, listen, I'm leaving. I don't think you're smart enough for this, but you better learn quick. Got to sell the damn stock. So this is the stock.
This is it. Okay. Ruth, I couldn't help but notice in the one corner of the home here a beautiful framed write out of the poem Joyce Kilmer's Trees. from New Jersey, New Brunswick native Joyce Kilmer, and trees. The significance of that poem, and it's set up in an area of the home. It's almost like a little shrine. Talk about that corner of the house with trees, the poem.
I've always thought that God's best creation was trees. So that poem really, I really liked it. And then here was this dead tree on the
property.
And we were just ready to take it down, and my daughter said, "That'll make a good tree house." So I said, "Leave the tree." So there is this vines all over it, just like what kids have today, vines all over them. And somebody walked over and hacked them at the base and lost their energy. And I'm thinking about, this tree is a very good-looking tree. It is going to make a good tree house. And I think I see buds. And I said, "I think this tree's alive." And it broke the chains, and it set itself free. And that's why I really like that tree.
And it's a beautiful tree house now.
And now I said, if I make a tree house and put music in it, the kids will right in.
Oh, sure.
Didn't happen.
It will. I have no doubt it will. You've opened up your doors, Ruth, to mothers whose children are struggling with addiction. You've opened your doors to mothers who have lost their children. And that's how you and I met. And how did you feel when folks started coming to New Beginnings and using this house for what it was built for?
Well, it was, it was very confusing to me. I had this thing with God, saying, "I'm not in this. I'm too old. I'm just following you." And all of a sudden, I'm sitting in the dentist's office, and this woman talks about family. I said, "Are you married?" And she says, "Yeah, I have 2 children." And she said, "But one of them I lost." And I thought, I have a place. And that's how this started. That's how she started, by me sitting in the dentist's office. And you came, and I thought, as I stood out on that porch, and I thought, Victor, I know he was here ahead of time, and I said, "All these people are coming tonight, Victor." And he said, "They all lost children?" I don't think Victor just knew what to say either. And I thought, oh boy, you better help me, here they come. And then I meet Lisa.
And it worked
And
out.
she's like, she just interviewed me, I think, because she made me comfortable.
Easy to do.
And it was okay from that point on. And then, we got this other group, the drug group growing, which, man, if they make it, you better get them on here, because that Be Inspired stuff is really
addiction's a tough thing.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing that was great for me. Andy, my husband, really was one of the smartest people I ever knew. He always knew what was going to happen before it happened. That's why when he was in the Marines, he couldn't shoot bullets, because they found out he knew how to figure out how to get the supplies to where they had to go to save lives.
Wow.
Incredible.
And so there was things going on in banking that were weird, and he says, "They're going to screw us." And that was in the 70s, when that program came in where you gave everybody a house that couldn't afford it. It put 90% of the savings banks died,
Wow.
and we lived.
Because he knew what to do beforehand.
We went on, and I tell you, I was in Washington. Here I am, first generation, and I'm in Washington when Senator McCain, no less, and trying to figure out how to get regulations so the banks wouldn't go. In the meantime, I'm crashing every party in Washington. Well, you had to walk in and say hello, and they said, "Come on in."
They had no idea who you were.
And I said to Andy, "This is a good place to crash." Plus the happy hour. One Coke.
You can't pass up
and
a
you,
good happy
and you
hour,
get this
Bert.
fabulous meal.
That's the best part of it. Where do you see yourself, Ruth, in 5 years from now? Because I have no doubt
5 years
you'll
from
still...
now, I would like to I mean, if somebody said, do you mind dying? No, I don't mind dying. I really don't mind dying because I'm a believer. And I have so many people I love that are on the other side.
Wow.
And I know Andy's saying to me, oh, stop that stuff again.
A lot of people are afraid of death.
You know, why? I mean, I have a feeling, I think it's my bringing up. I mean, I just remember people dying in my life that it was a good thing. It was like they were saying, they were seeing people, they were calling out names. And I'm saying, hey, that looks pretty good to me. And, you know, my husband's saying, you know, I tell you, if you had Andy here, he was really a piece of work.
Well, I think
But,
Ruth's got a lot of living to do.
I think
when he
so.
was dying,
Yeah,
he
she's
said
not
to
going
me,
anywhere.
You know, get with it. Everybody dies. You don't have to get upset.
He was tough.
As long as you don't spend money too quickly.
He wanted you to watch it, but oh well, you put it into something wonderful.
Well, this is really true. I mean, I got rid of Hudson City stock. That's what I did. I gave him the stock. Haney said to me, we give it less in case it goes up during the transaction. It went up.
Well, Ruth Egner, well, thank you so much for what you've done for just generations of people and just a legacy of kindness and generosity. And it was really wonderful to have the chance to sit down and talk today, and for you allowing us to use this beautiful space to bring this show together. So thank you so much for that, and continued success, all right? And
Thank you, Ruth.
Yeah, you just have to suffer
Thank you.
to make it right. That's
Thank
all.
you. Thank you.
Okay.
But thank you so much. We really appreciate the time. I'm Bert Barron,
And I'm Lisa Anderson.
and thank you for joining us on Be Inspired.
Next on Be Inspired.
Right before I left to fly home, I had just run a 10K. Everything, again, was looking good for the Coast Guard. I'll get this little thing checked out, sore throat. Biopsy had come back cancer. And a couple days after that, I heard it was stage 4 head and neck cancer. All of 2010 was basically me fighting for my life. I understand that I may not make it, but I'm gonna allow myself to be okay with that thought. I'm gonna fight like hell and give everything I got not to go in that direction, but I have to be okay with it to accept all the outcomes.
Be Inspired with your hosts Bert Barron and Lisa Anderson Puleo. Directed by Rod Weber. Created and produced by Michael R. Doyle. Co-producers Bert Barron, Lisa Anderson Puleo, and Erwin Sternberg. Executive producers Rod Weber and Sean M. Sternberg. Editor Rebecca Gruber. Social media team Rebecca Gruber, John Franklin, and Luke Lograno. Filmed at New Beginnings Foundation, Wall Township, New Jersey. And thanks to our sponsors, Loewy's Moving Service, IgA Nephropathy Foundation of America, Michelle Weber Wellness, and SIRREEL Stream Services. Season 4 of Be Inspired is dedicated to the memory of Rob Isbicki, a guest of Season 2, who lost his life to cancer, and to his service to the community as a firefighter. Rob was a proud husband and loving father who cared deeply for his family and friends. Our prayers are with Rob's family during this time.